Greetings. Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. I hope that you all are having an amazing day, that you've had an amazing day. My name is Apostle Trena Stephenson, and I have been given the task to speak to you today concerning, does Africa need healing? Before I get into our dialogue on today, I definitely want to honor Archbishop Amos and his beautiful wife who are leading up this movement, and as well as I would like to honor all of those that are in the leadership capacity that are leading this movement, this powerful movement. God bless Africa. All right, and I want to give you greetings from Baltimore, Maryland, which is where I'm hailing from, which is in the United States of America. And so I am delighted to be a part of this time with you. So I bless you, I honor you, and I thank you for being on. So I'm just going to give just a few moments. I see Victoria, God bless you. Just want to give you greetings for a few minutes, and then I will get into the subject that I have been tasked with today to talk about. All right. Does Africa need healing? Does Africa need healing? So just for the time, I'm going to go ahead and move forward. Many will probably catch the replay at a later time. But does Africa need healing? Let's start with that one question. And the answer is yes. Yes, 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 and yes. And so answering that question about does Africa need healing, then when you look at it, and you realize that healing is needed, right? Now we got to talk about how can we get to the process of healing? How can we arrive to that place of healing, right? And so I want to give the definition of healing first, and then I'm going to get into our conversation. The definition of healing is this: the process of making or becoming sound or healthy again. I may not live in Africa, but I have a lot of relationships there, so I know that there are challenges there. I know that there's war amongst each other that's going on there. I know that there is a lack of equality, a lack of unity. I know that there are so many things that are happening in Africa. I know that there's a lot of unrest that is happening in Africa. I know that there's a lot of poverty-stricken areas. I know that the wealth is not equally distributed. Amen. So I may not be there, but I am in tune to what's going on with Africa. And so as we look at the definition of healing, it says the process of making or becoming sound or healthy again. Africa has the potential to become healthy again. Yes, it does. Africa has the potential to no longer be broken, but to be whole as a nation. Africa definitely has that potential. And so as I pondered on how to address this topic, how to come forward with this topic, something that came to my mind on last night as I was thinking about our dialogue is I just wanted to share a practical example of why we may need healing. So I grew up in a military household. I grew up when my father was in the military. So I'm a military brat. That's what they call it in the USA. They call us military brats. And so I grew up in a military household. And there is a certain tone that is a part of the military environment. Okay. And so let me explain that. There's something called classes. And I promise you, I'm going somewhere with this. There's something called classes. So even though there's many positions, even though there are many departments within that Army, my father was Army. So even though there's many departments and many groupings within the Army, there was still a great divide. There was still a great divide because there was classism. Okay, and let me explain to you what that means. So my father was an officer. Okay, he was considered an officer. That was a particular ranking within the Army structure. Okay, but then there's another side that is called unlisted, and so that just basically means that these are individuals that do not have officer status. These are individuals that you would perceive to be lower class, meaning you would perceive them to be less educated. Promise you, I'm going somewhere with it. Less educated, not as wise, right? The ones that were officers were educated. They had to have degrees in order to even be in that position in the first place. And so I was an officer officer's kid. And so what the environment is that the enlisted always had to salute the officers. They always had to stand at salute. It didn't matter if they were in civilian clothes, what we would call regular clothing, or if they were in uniform. There was an automatic thing where they had to salute anytime an officer came into their presence. Not only was that a dividing line, the other dividing line was their housing. All right, was their housing. Officers had the best of the best. They had the best of the medical care. They had the best of homes. Okay, they lived in the best areas on base and off base. Unlisted, their housing was not as nice. Their housing was broken up. You know, if they had issues with their housing, it would take an extremely long time before any care would be taken to where they lived. And this is something that was going on within the same body called the Army. And so even though they were on the same team, even though they were all there to serve this great country I live in, even though they were all there to save the country, there was classism among them. There was division among them. They did not see the value in each other. It was always contention. It was always a battleground. It was always fighting going on amongst them because the enlisted felt that they were not treated fairly, and then officers felt that they had arrived, and so they had to be treated a certain way, and so you always had this dividing piece. Hear me. You always had that dividing piece, but yet you're in for the same reason. And the reason that they were all there was to fight on behalf of the country, was to fight to protect the country and the things that we consider to be liberty. But amongst them, there was division. And so I remember going into places where I would really be looked down upon. I mean, the ones that were unlisted, the children, it trickled down the family. The wives didn't speak to each other. The children had oughts against each other, all because of classism, all because they thought we were too good. And then we thought that they weren't good enough. And so they had all this dividing, but yet you're operating in the same structure, the Army. And they were all there for the same reason. And so the first thing that I want to address when we talk about healing, does Africa need healing? Part of the healing process is to get rid of classism. And classism basically means that we don't devalue the next person. You don't devalue the person because of their circumstances or their situation. That's where healing has to take place, because a lot of times what we are doing is we're looking down upon others that may not have the extension or may not have the resources that we have. You might be asking yourself, well, how does this have anything to do with healing? It has a whole lot to deal with healing, because healing means that even though we may be different, I'm going to receive you in spite of our differences. That is the problem. We do not value each other. Every individual has worth. Every individual has purpose. And that's why I use the example of the Army, because when you go into battle, when they would go into battle, they're wearing one uniform. There is one uniform that all of them wear. But yes, classism is still in place. So what do you think I'm saying? All of you may be located in Africa, and you may be in different parts of Africa, right? But guess what? You're representing the same land. So when there is warring and when there is fighting amongst yourselves, what you're basically doing is you're destroying yourself. The destruction is coming from internal resources. The destruction is coming from the internal place. A lot of times, in order to walk into healing, one, you got to recognize that there's classism. You may be the one that think that, I'm only going to be among this particular class of people because they look like me, they act like me, we're very much alike. But this group of people over here, no, I'm gonna stay away from them. They don't have the same upbringing as me. They're not as good as me. They don't have the same social environment. They don't have the same relationships. I want you to hear what I'm saying. This is what we do, and it creates classism. So if you're going to walk into a place of healing, you got to destroy classism. You got to understand that everybody is on the same plane at the same time, that everyone equally has something to bring to the table. Do you hear what I'm saying? So yes, that person that may never get a degree, may never have went to school, I want to tell you today that they're still necessary. They're still needed. And yes, you may have had the opportunity to go to the best schools or be in the right environments and have right relationships. You might have all of that, but you cannot lessen the value of someone else's experience and what someone else brings to the table. So in order to walk into healing, the first thing we're going to have to get rid of is the classism. Trust me, it's not just an Africa issue. It's a worldwide issue. Classism destroys the ability to heal. Classism destroys the ability to unify. So we have to find worth and value in each other. The other thing that promotes healing is you have to make sure that you stay in a place of humility. And what that means is that you're not prideful, that you're not bragging, that you're not flaunting stuff, right? But that you are walking in a place to help. You get what I'm saying? That you're walking in a place to build and to strengthen. The reason that some of the issues that lie in Africa is because no one is willing to share what they have acquired. Hear me. They're not willing to share what they have acquired. It is this ownership, but no, it belongs to all. It belongs to all. When you take on the mindset that there is nobody has a lesser position, no one is in a worthless position, when you move from that mindset, healing will begin. Hear me. Healing will begin. When is the last time that you have came out of your neighborhood of comfort? Hear me. When is the last time that you really put your ear to the ground in those troubled areas in your country? When is the last time did you visit those places? Think about that. Instead of judging, this comes against healing too. When judgment is in play, healing can't happen either. Because then there's a judgment. Oh, you're in that condition because of what you did or what you have decided to do, or you don't have the lack, or you have the lack of drive. This is what we do. Hear what I'm saying? This is what we do. And it fights against our ability to heal. It fights up against our ability to heal. So you have to come together. You have to come together. Healing is what will promote unity. Healing is what will promote unity. When we can get to the place of accepting and valuing people from where they sit and from where they stand, you're not gonna go as far as you could if you were united. So yes, there might be people that, I'm going to use this as another example. There might be people that you're like, oh, they're just a hustler. They just hustle. They're not willing to work and to achieve. They just hustle. But you don't know their history though. Come on, this is what judgment does. We're judging what we see, but we're not looking at their history. We're not considering the struggle that they may have endured. We're not looking at what they have came from. Maybe that's all that they know. Healing is bringing forth the best out of your neighbor. You hear what I'm saying? Is bringing out the best thing out of your neighbor. Yes, they might have 50 million things wrong with them, but where is the one thing that they do that is right? Are you hearing this? Healing looks at the thing that they're doing right. And you can build from there. You have to be willing to share. You have to be willing to share. And then the other thing that will promote healing is getting past your social, religious, and economic positioning. You have to get past those three things. That hinders the ability to heal. We may not agree religiously. We may not agree with economic decisions. We may not agree with everything that happens socially. However, in order for healing to come forth, you have to be willing to accept the differences and build on the things that you are united in. What fights up against our ability to heal is when we focus on those things that divide us. I may not agree with you. I may not agree with what you do. I may not agree with how you acquire what you acquire. However, I can agree with your area of focus. I can agree with the fact that you're trying to make our area better, that we're trying to make Africa better. I can agree with that. I may not be able to agree with how, but I can agree with that. Are you willing to agree with the one thing and put aside all of the differences so Africa can heal as a nation? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself. Because the damage is internal. It's inside. We have external, yes, there's external factors. That is true. But how we pull, how we move from it is what can bring change. You have to be willing to do your part. You have to be willing to do your part. I don't agree. I'll use this as an example. It is still a struggle in the USA. It might even be a struggle there in Africa as well. In the USA, women are still looked at as second-class citizens. We are. Still today. We're looked at as second than. We're looked at as not as valuable. It's even reflective in how we're paid. A male counterpart in my field professionally makes $20,000 plus more dollars than what I would ever make because I am a woman. But what my mindset has been is, even though classism is real, because I'm not telling you it's not real, but it's how you respond to it. Even though classism is a case, even though classism tends to happen, okay, tends to happen, I'm still going to do my very, very best. I'm still going to put forth my biggest effort. And I'm not going to become an enemy to who is my counterpart. Hear what I'm saying. I'm making a point. I'm not going to become an enemy to who my counterpart is, because I am mad at the situation as it is today. Because I'm mad that because I'm a woman, I'm treated less than. So I'm going to take that out on my male counterpart. I would be completely wrong. I would be absolutely wrong. So change comes when you change your reaction. That's how it comes. You have to change your response. Just because hardship comes and it hits at your door does not mean that you have to be reactive and that you have to do it in a negative fashion. There is more wounds, and I sense it. There are more wounds amongst each other. We're talking about healing Africa here. But until you resolve your issues among each other, Africa cannot move forward in healing. You got to resolve those issues. You got to move on. You got to build together. Come on. When you're whole, when you're healed, that brings unity. You got a lot to conquer. It takes time to change governments. It takes time to change systems. But when you unify and you come to a place of clarity and you decide to work together, change will come. Hear what I'm saying? Change will come. Today, there is still a classism issue between men and women. I'm pretty sure it's there as well in Africa as it is here. But I can tell you today that what I deal with in this particular time, the predecessors before me from 20 or 40 years ago were nowhere near where I sit today. So even though the end result may not be tangible right away, you still should see progression. When you are in a place of healing, you can progress. You can move forward and you can do great things. So you have to heal. You gotta be an agent of change. You gotta be the one that brings healing. Don't look for the next. How about it starts with you? How about you change your reactions? How about you change the complaint? Come on. Start there. There are so many people that are struggling in your nation. My goodness. When will that take precedence over cultural differences, over political opinions, over religious positioning, over economic thought? When will the needs of the people become greater than an opinion? I say this all the time. It's not about talking about it. It's about being about it. That means doing it. We can have meeting after meeting, gathering after gathering, but where is the action? You got areas to hit in Africa that need healing. You got areas of people in different parts of Africa that feel neglected, that feel like they're not even thought of. Those are the areas you got to reach. If you have the ability and you have been graced to have so many things, accomplished so much, have you extended what you have and reached out to an area that does not have the resources that you have in your possession? You know, healing is not just a whole bunch of talk. Healing is tangible. Healing is your ability to take your gifts, take your talents, take your resources, and pour it into the areas that are impoverished and that are lacking. That brings healing. We make it like it's just this word in the air. It's not a word in the air. Healing is action. Healing is in movement. Healing is action. Do you hear me? It's in movement. It's in what you do. You have to strive to the point that your nation is whole from the top to the bottom. You have to strive to the point that classism is no longer in existence. Do you hear what I'm saying? Classism has to go away, but it begins where? It begins with us. Don't look down on someone. It's a wound. It's a wound when someone feels inadequate. They already feel less than. They do. When people come into your presence, and especially people that are maybe not as renowned as you or not as established as you, how do they leave your presence? Are they leaving encouraged? Are they leaving with resources? Or are they leaving more broken than when they first came into your presence? Healing Africa is one person at a time. Hear me. Healing Africa is one person at a time. Are you helping your neighbor? Are you pulling up your neighbor? Are you extending the resources, or do you have a closed hand? Are we causing segregation where we're only going to deal with this group of people? And I'm Bishop probably should tell you, I'm very straightforward. I know what I sense and I know what I have seen. I have been to Africa many times, and I have witnessed it with my own eyes. So I know what I'm talking about. I have been in the presence where there's an uncomfortability. I've been in the presence where certain leaders are not engaging with each other and they're in the same place. Because there's this perception and this persona, or the way that we present ourselves. Healing Africa is showing value. That's why I opened with my experience growing up in a military household. You could see the divide on the same team, but still divided. Working with the same goal, but still divided. Fighting for the same cause, but still divided. Think about that. The officer and the enlisted soldier are in the same army, fighting for the same country, fighting for the same liberties, fighting for safety, but yet amongst them, they're still yet divided. Wearing the same uniform, but still yet divided. That is Africa today. Get rid of classism. Get rid of devaluing one another. Get rid of fighting when you should be fighting for each other, when you should be fighting for your land. Get rid of the infighting. Get rid of the competition. That all fights up against healing. It fights up against unity. Unity doesn't always mean you agree fully. Hear me. Unity does not mean that you will always agree on every matter, on every issue. That's not what unity means. Unity means that we have the same goal in mind, that we have the same focus, that we see the same issues, and our agreement is it has to change. It has to change. If you can't agree on nothing else, you should be able to agree that change is necessary. That change must happen. And where does it start? With me. So be carriers of healing. Pick up that brother. Pick up that sister. Come on. They didn't have the same opportunities that you had. Can you extend the opportunity? They don't know what you know. Are you willing to teach and train and get them up to par? That's the only way you're going to be able to heal. You got to see the value. You got to see the worth in each other. Period. I value you. I may not understand why you do what you do. I may not understand all your practices, but we both want to see our nation whole. So I can join with that. Yeah. Because we both know change is necessary. So healing Africa begins with me. Say that to yourself. Healing Africa begins with me. Matter of fact, type it in the comments for those that will see it later. Say, healing in Africa, it begins with me. It begins with me. It starts with me. I am responsible for my nation's healing. I am responsible for my country being whole. I have to do my part. Healing Africa, thank you so much. Healing Africa begins with me. I don't want her to be the only one. Come on. Come on. This is team building right here. Say Healing Africa begins with me. I'm going to take my responsibility in this. Yeah. Thanks, John. Elise, thank you. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to work on healing the area that I am in. I'm going to work on the area that I'm located in. I'm going to find out what the issues are in my region, in my part of the country, in my part of the land. I'm going to find out what's lacking. I'm going to find out what are the things that need to be improved. I'm going to work on my part of the area that I am in. Healing Africa begins with me. You got to do your part. It's not about, we got to get rid of classism. I'm telling you, getting rid of classism is a change of the mind and a change within the heart. I'm going to say it again. Getting rid of classism is a change within the mind and a change within the heart. That's when classism can go away. You got to change your mind. That means your perception. And you got to change your heart. Every person, no matter what their background is, no matter where they come from, they all play a role. No person is better than the next. The opportunities that you were extended was because of the area in which you were, because of your background, because of who you may know. And this other group of people may not have had the same liberty, may have not had the same resources, but it doesn't give you the excuse to treat them differently. The absence of healing is division. Bless you, sir. The absence of healing is division. So look at the state of Africa. Is Africa divided? Is Africa warring against itself? Come on. Has Africa separated its territories? Come on, think about it. Where there is division, healing is not present. So where you look at those areas that are dividing your country, those are the areas that you should be infiltrating with healing. And healing starts with you. So you might say, okay, does Africa need healing? Yes. You agree with me now. I'm pretty sure you agree with me now. Yeah, I know you agree with me now. Africa definitely needs to be healed. But now what you need to be pondering about, now what you need to be thinking about is, what does healing look like to me? What does healing look like to me? The definition of healing, again, is the process of making or becoming sound or healthy again. What do I perceive to be healthy? That's what healing means. Healing means the sound or becoming healthy again. You know Africa needs to become healthy. You know Africa needs to become healthy again. You know this. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do to make Africa healthy again? That's all healing is. Healing means to make something healthy again. And then you have to catch that last part of that definition again. So in order to make something healthy again, it means that at some point of time, Africa was healthy. Africa was strong. Africa was unified. Africa was a force to be reckoned with. So what do we have to do to get Africa back to its former state of glory, to its former state of progression? Come on. What do we have to do? So that's what you got to think about. That's what you got to think about. Healing begins with me. Africa becoming healed begins with me. When you change your perception and you allow your heart to change, classism will go. When you learn to value each one, it's not based on their background, not based on their connections, and not based on where they hail from. But when you can see the value of each other and allow what you see valuable to supersede your differences, oh, Africa can definitely be healthy again. No question, no doubt about it. You have the resources, and the resources is you. And you might say, well, I don't have a whole lot of money, but the resource is you. You can bring change by your actions. You can bring healing by your responses. You are responsible for Africa being healthy again. Take ownership of it. It don't have to stay this way. Come on. Come on. You're changers. You know how to make change. You know how to bring change. You know how to turn things around. You guys are powerful. Your nation is powerful. You have most of the most valuable resources are in Africa. Come on. You got it. So now what we have to do is change our perception and change our heart so we can get rid of classism. Every person has a place at the table. Every person has something to offer. Every person. I'm going to give you this last example and I'm going to wrap this up. Because I was a military kid, we traveled globally. We traveled all over the world. And one thing that my father instilled in me was he said, Trena, he said, you don't have to believe like they believe. You don't even have to like what they like. He said, but at least listen, observe, and see their humanity. And I live by that today. I may not like what you like. I may not agree with what you do. But one thing I can see is your humanity. So I learned versatility of dealing with other cultures and different thought patterns and different nationalities. I learned that in my youth because I grew up in a military household. And I follow that pattern today. So you have to be open to being flexible. You have to be open to listening. Don't make a decision first. Listen first. And at the end of the day, see their humanity. I hope that there's something that I've said that's encouraged you guys on today. It was my honor and it was my delight to serve you on today. But if you don't remember anything else that I have shared, I know I've shared a lot, but if you don't remember anything else that I have shared today, remember this. Does Africa need healing? Yes, it does. And where does healing begin? It begins with me. Blessings to you.